Demonic presence at unsafe levels. Lockdown in effect.
There are many demons, but there's only one.
Electro-demon.
Manhunt is an action-adventure game from Rockstar that came out in 2003 for the PC and PlayStation 2. It was a very polarizing game on its launch due to extreme violence towards other humans. This game got outright banned in some countries. Is this game any good, or is it relying on its shock value a bit too much? Stick with this review to find out. Manhunt is an extremely violent and disturbing game. The game created so many shockwaves throughout the industry because of its violence. It was banned in many countries and it's still to this day a very notorious game. But I absolutely love every bit of it. I'll try to explain why Manhunt is a good game in this review. You play as James Earl Cash, a death row inmate that is just about to get executed. They inject the death syringe in you, but you later wake up but you're not dead. Turns out a man that goes by the name of Starkweather arranged this. He abducts you and takes you in Carcer City, a city that is basically a run-down, dilapidated ghost town. He gives you an earpiece which he uses to talk to you. There are many gangs in Carcer City on Starkweather's payroll and they're out to get you. He promises you freedom if you give him what he wants. He's recording a snuff film with the goal of you killing the gangs in violent and grotesque ways. He gets off by you killing these criminals. It's an interesting story and it's very well written. I quite like it. There are some more things towards the end of the game, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you. So the gameplay, is it any good? Well, yes it is. You control Cash from the third perspective. It's a stealth game primarily. You can hide in the shadows and the enemies won't see you there. You kill enemies by approaching them from the back. You'll see Cash raise his right arm. That means you can perform an execution. There are 3 levels of executions: white, yellow and red. White is hasty, yellow is violent and red is gruesome. You can perform a hasty kill immediately, but if you keep holding the button, the execution will be yellow, meaning violent. And if you keep holding it more, you can get to red, which is gruesome. This is an awesome mechanic in the game. When you release the button, you're then presented with a snuff camera view of Cash murdering his victim. It's fucking brilliant. I've never seen a system like this. You perform these kills with melee weapons. Crowbars, knives, saws, sickles, glass shards, baseball bats and plenty more. Each weapon has a different animation for each 3 states of execution. The game is pretty easy when there's a single enemy. You can lure enemies by knocking on the wall or throwing a brick. But when there's more enemies, it becomes a bit more challenging. But that's the best part of Manhunt. Picking out enemies one by one. If you're detected, you can run away from the enemy's line of sight and hide in a different shadow. There's even a fight system, but honestly avoid it when possible. It's clunky and very janky, and when the game doesn't force you into this, don't use this system. The enemy design is pretty awesome. Each gang is distinct with their appearance. First gang you're gonna run into are the Hoods. Then there are Nazi scum called Skins. Then War Dogs, Innocents, Smileys and more.
Nurse! Nurse! Getting drunk? Fuck! This is the last time you get away with this, do you hear me?
They all have a distinct appearance and personality, and they shout out lines towards you that are unique to each gang. It's great stuff. The locations also play a big part in the overall Manhunt atmosphere. Rundown streets, buildings, factories, graveyard, shipyards and more. The gangs, the locations in the game and the music all contribute to this sinister and dark atmosphere. This is where Manhunt is at its best, when it gives you only melee weapons and forces you into stealth. Picking off enemies from the dark is just fucking amazing, and it never gets old. And the game is always trying to spice things up. Sometimes you need to carry a gas canister to power a crane, and there's a particular cool thing towards the latter half of the game. Starkweather gives you a hobo friend who must survive along with you. But sadly, the game also has a lot of shooting levels, and towards the end of the game, almost every level features firearms. The shooting is okay, it's nothing special, but it's not bad either. It's your standard third-person cover affair, but these levels just feel uninspired. They lack that Manhunt atmosphere. They're okay, like I said, but the stealth levels are the best. Shame there's a lot of shooting levels towards the end of the game. I mean, I get that Rockstar was trying to keep the game fresh, to add variety, but there's just too much shooting. Music is just pure art. It's very sinister and ominous. It's low drone synthwave. That's how I describe it. But goddamn, it fits so good. Especially when you're lurking from the shadows and killing enemies in brutal ways. It's composed by Craig Connor, and I really hope this guy got a raise after Manhunt. Graphically speaking, Manhunt looks solid for its time. Keep in mind, this is a game that came out in 2003, so you can't expect Metro Exodus levels of graphical fidelity. It uses the Renderware engine, basically GTA 3 engine. It looks great for its time. The game also has a grain filter, and it fits the overall tone of the game. Textures are sharp, models are fairly nicely modeled, and the game has a basic physics system. There are no complaints here. I think the PC version looks the best, but I played this on the PlayStation 2 version. But I played the PlayStation 2 version on an emulator. But to get it working properly in the PlayStation 2 emulator is a pain in the ass. That's why I suggest that you don't do this. Play the PC version. Manhunt is a very challenging game. It's pretty tough, especially in the later segments of the game. That's not because the game is brutally hard or unfair, but because the game doesn't use a checkpoint system like its sequel. Instead, it uses cassettes placed in specific places in the game. In the later parts of the game, they even spread out the cassettes even more to amp up the challenge. You just have to deal with this. Or play it on an emulator where you can use quick saves. It's up to you. I'd like a more denser checkpoint system, like a Manhunt 2, but it is what it is.
Way to go. You're getting the hang of this.
Overall, Manhunt has 20 levels. The game calls them scenes, and each scene can take up to 30 minutes to an hour to complete. I'd say 10 to 12 hours to beat Manhunt on the standard difficulty. Manhunt is an extremely good game with brutal stealth and tense atmosphere. Too bad the shooting sections aren't good and interesting as the stealth ones. But this is a game that is worth playing. It's a hidden gem, I'd say. If I had to give a score to Manhunt, I'd give it 8.5 out of 10. Also check out my review for the sequel, Manhunt 2. The link is in the description.
There's a picket guarding the gate. If he sees you, you call his cheery buddies. Come on, Cash. This isn't how it works. Get out there and kill someone.
I reckon he's just plumb yellow. I ain't a loser. I ain't no